One very special car in the 100-year history of BMW is the 507. Following the sales flop of the somewhat old-fashioned 501 Baroque Angel, it was a massive leap towards the future of the automobile. Today, the car is a design legend.
The 507 is a unique car. Unique because somehow, being born of adversity, it was intended to have incredible symbolic value. And it still does so today because of the way it looks.
Racing driver Hans-Joachim loves the 507 too. His father owned one of the few made models.
For me, as a young lad of 8 or 9, the 507 was an absolute highlight back in the day. The car was mega cool, ahead of its time, and I associate a very special history with this car. When my father was touring in his 507, we met Elvis Presley. If only we'd known what a superstar he would become, we would definitely have asked him for his autograph, but sadly we missed the opportunity.
Elvis was just as excited by the 507 as Striezel was about Elvis. He bought the car from Striezel's father then and there and took it away with him back to the USA. But where is the 507 today? In the Sunshine State, a big discovery is made on a small farm. In this barn, there is a huge piece of BMW history. Vintage car collector Jack Castor tells about the day he bought the mangled car.
That was a good feeling. At least, even if the car was a mess, at least I was into it, the car.
This vintage car looks as if it's come from the scrapyard, which is not surprising since it has a long history behind it. It belonged to the racing driver legend Hans Stuck and then Elvis Presley before being forgotten about.
It's more special to me that Hans Stuck drove the car than that Elvis had his hands on it. I have a lot of respect for Hans Stuck.
But the car didn't look like this back then. It was in poor condition. The engine was missing and there was rust everywhere.
If I had a choice, I'd like to keep it, but I want to see this car restored. And all of them, really. And I can't afford to do it. And so I'm happy about that. It's what's good for the car is very important.
Jack asked BMW for help, and he gets it. The barn find is set to be restored to its former glory. The 507 with a unique history is collected and taken to Germany for restoration. Arriving in Germany, the car is restored from the bottom up, and the first step is to remove the paint, because originally the car was not red at all. When Elvis Presley was stationed in Germany as a soldier and bought it, the 507 was still white. But as he became increasingly famous, he had the car repainted. The reason? Too many female fans were leaving red lipstick marks on the white vehicle. Now the car is to be restored to its original condition, and soon the iconic car will have all of its former glamour and appeal restored. The BMW 507 was and is a legend. One reason for this back then was the advanced engineering. The 507 was already fitted with a V8 light alloy engine, offering 150 horsepower, but its looks are still delighting designers today.
Imagining yourself with this car, you suddenly imagine a totally different way of living. And I think this freedom and this look and feel is really what, of course, everyone would aim for if they could afford it. So I think that's a great, really new step ahead in car design.
The 507 also attracts the film industry. In the film Glück und Liebe in Monaco at the end of the 1950s, the car found its way onto the big screen, magnetically drawing envious eyes to it.
Oh, was sagst du zu dem Wagen da? Ein totschickes Ding, was?
Ach du immer mit deinen Autos.
Ich möchte Frühstück. Ach, du denkst immer nur ans Essen.
The 507 was built to ride relatively high on classic 50s narrow, tall tires, and then you had this shape, which was really much too short at the front and the rear. Somehow you could see from underneath and see how the chassis combines with the bodywork. I'd say that's the case particularly from behind. A bit like a woman wearing a proper miniskirt, even before there were any miniskirts. So you have the impression you can catch a glimpse of the underwear. And that makes the car so incredibly sexy.
And so cinema superstar Alain Delon, motor racing legend John Surtees, and Bond girl Ursula Andress are all found driving a 507.
When I was 9 years old, my mother made me be an altar boy. Dad and I weren't interested at all. But he picked me up on the dot of 7 when the Mass had ended, outside the church in the 507 sounding the horn. That irritated the priest so much that he chucked me out. That was the end of being an altar boy, and you could say that our wishes were granted. That's a memory I think I will never forget.
Deswegen die Erinnerung, die werde ich, glaube ich, nie vergessen.